It's been 140 years since Margaret Sanger's advocacy for women's health and birth control. Today, women still struggle with many of the same issues. These issues remain as controversial today as they were in the past. Margaret's reputation should not be negative, but she should be recognized as a pioneer and icon for all women, regardless of race. So who was Margaret Sanger? Margaret was born into poverty, one of 11 children. Her mother would have 18 pregnancies at a time in which health care was not available for many families. Margaret's mother would die at a young age, in which she believed was directly contributed to her mother's multiple pregnancies. One must remember that in the 19th century, women were property of their husbands. They were below the white male and only slightly above the African Americans. They were not allowed to own their own homes, to manage their own money, and to even vote. I believe that this dependency on men drove Margaret to become an advocate for women. Margaret would grow up to become a nurse, whose focus would be on low-income families. I believe Margaret would have seen many botched abortions, miscarriages, and atrocities against women. Margaret would begin writing and distributing pamphlets and magazines highlighting women's rights to control their own bodies and how many children they had. The Comstock Law forbid any materials they considered obscene. All of Margaret's pamphlets and magazines would violate these laws. Coupled with the opening of her first clinic in 1914, Margaret would be arrested many times. This public display would only further her cause. Margaret's direct involvement with eugenics would further destroy her reputation. Eugenics is an idea to breed out the less desirable populations. I believe that a woman's rights to abort pregnancies with complications, birth defects, and the ability to financially care for her children should not be considered bred out populations. Today, Margaret is viewed as a racist because her clinics are in low-income areas. These clinics are now known as Planned Parenthood. She is known as a white supremacist because of her involvement in eugenics. In conclusion, it is a fact that she did not like African Americans. Segregation was a normal in her part of the era. And yes, her clinics are in low-income areas. Margaret's movement has permitted all women to have a choice in their own bodies and the number of children they have. Race was not a driving factor then, nor should it be now. Many of the same issues we still struggle with today. Margaret's ideas and intentions are still as controversial today as they were 140 years ago.